بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم. So the legislation during the time of the Prophet, this is how the legislation started. The first period, the very first one, during the 23 years of the time of the Prophet. And the Prophet would teach his followers the ahkam, the rulings, Islamic rulings that are found in the Quran. Some of them are found in general, vague, mujmal. General means, in the Islamic terminology, mujmal. Mujmal means general. Mujmal, general, or vague sometimes. Okay? Vague. So the Prophet elaborates on this vagueness. He elaborates. He explains. وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ لِتُبَيِّنْ. Your job, Ya Rasulullah, لِتُبَيِّن. لِتُبَيِّن. تُبَيِّن means tibyan. Tibyan means elucidation, explanation, elaboration. Through the hadith, of course. So the first period of legislation started with a prophet, lasted for 23 years. 23 years, 13 in Mecca plus 10 in Medina. 23. Through the Quran plus the hadith, his hadith. He would explain the ahkam, the rulings. Quran, as I said, exegists argue that there are 500 verses in the Quran. Ayatul ahkam are counted at 500. But some of them say, well, you put them together because they overlap, the real total number is only 350. Whereas we have thousands of ahkam, thousands of rulings. So the rest, 350 are found in the Quran. The rest, where are the rest? In the hadith. The hadith is the one that explains. Of course, the hadith also of the Prophet is revelation from God. How did the adhan start? Do you know the story of adhan? This adhan that we do every day. But who wrote the adhan? Who introduced it? Not who said it. Who introduced the adhan? Two stories. The Imamiyya story is that Jibreel came to the Prophet and he taught him the wording of the adhan, word by word. Word by word. The Sahaba school argue that the Prophet saw in his dream, he saw a dream about the wording of the adhan, and then he woke up in the morning and he said, then this should be your adhan. So it's a big difference between revelation, Jibreel bringing the message, and between seeing something in the dream. Though the dream of the Prophet could be true, but we cannot depend on dreams in legislation. This is why most of the legislators, fuqaha, the jurists, they say a dream is not a professional answer. A judge, a jurist, a mujtahid cannot depend on the dream. He cannot wake up in the morning and he say, last night I was thinking about the answer to this mas'ala, so I went to bed and I saw a dream. Dream cannot be an evidence. It's not an evidence. Quran is an evidence, Sunnah is an evidence, Ijma' is an evidence, consensus, Aql, but not dreams. The dreams are not an evidence. Now, once in a while, the dream of Ibrahim, seeing that was an order, special order. But he would not come to his community, alaykum as-salam, and he tells them, for instance, you have to do such and such because I saw a dream. No. You need an evidence. So this is the difference between the Imamiyya story of the Adhan and the non-Imamiyya, the other traditions. So the Prophet would review the Quran with Jibreel once a year. When did that happen? One. Shahr Ramadan. During the month of Ramadan, Jibreel comes and reviews the Quran with the Prophet from first to last, from beginning to the end, to make sure that the Prophet memorized the Quran and nothing has changed. This is an update. This is an affirmation. This is why the Prophet said during last Ramadan of his life in Medina, that Jibreel reviewed the Quran with me how many times this year? Twice. وَلَا أَرَى إِلَّا أَجَلِي قَدْ دَنَا. This is an indication. This is a very, subtle indication that my ajal is getting close. Because every year he does it for one time. This year he did it twice. This is an indication. Now, the Prophet would memorize the Quran. Where is this? It's in the Quran. We can write something. We have to write, okay? The Prophet himself did not write, but he would store it here in his brain. And God says to him in Surah Al-A'la, what does he say to the Prophet? Surah Al-A'la is chapter 87. 87, verse 6. What does he say? Who memorizes Surah Al-A'la? سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَى. سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَى. We shall teach you to recite. سَنُقْرِئُكَ. We shall teach you to recite. We make you recite. فَلَا تَنْسَى. So you do not forget. So once God has given him this ability, once he reads something one time, he would never forget. And this characteristics and this gift was inherited and passed to Imam Ali alayhi salam. Because there is another verse in the Quran. وَتَعِيَهَا أُذُنٌ وَاعِيَةٌ. وَتَعِيَهَا أُذُنٌ وَاعِيَةٌ. أُذُنٌ وَاعِيَةٌ is a listening ear. وَاعِيَةٌ. When this verse came, the Prophet says, and this hadith is found in both aisles, in both sections of Islam. سألت الله أن يجعلها في علي ibn Abi Talib. I asked God to make Ali the owner, the carrier of this udhun, this ear that does not forget. Wa'iyah, understands. And then he read dua for Imam Ali. Imam Ali says, from that day that the Prophet recited this dua for me, I never forgot any text. Whenever I listened to anything, verse, hadith, story, poetry, anything, name, I would not forget it. It would stick in my brain. سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَى. God says, فَلَا تَنْسَى. Because if the Prophet would forget, like me, when I forget sometimes on the podium many times, now if I forget here, no, not a big deal. But the Prophet, he's a legislator, the main legislator. And therefore, this leads us to another issue, another concept of isma, infallibility. Is the Prophet immune against forgetfulness or not? Some people say no, not necessarily. Others say yes, it is necessary. If he forgets, then there is no second person. He is the main source. He receives the revelation, not someone else. Sometimes there are 2, 3, so if one forgets, Quran says at the time of testimony for women, we need 2 women. Why? He says the reason. The reason is psychological. أَن تَضِلَّ إِحْدَاهُمَا. In case. أَن تَضِلَّ, it means in case one of them, or if one of them forgets, فَتُذَكِّرَ إِحْدَاهُمَا الْأُخْرَى. There is another person standing next to her. She tells her, no, listen, it wasn't Monday, it was Tuesday, for instance. Okay? She corrects her. But who's going to correct the Prophet? If the Prophet forgets, who's going to correct him? Nobody. So he has to be فَلَا تَنْسَى. He shouldn't forget. They say one day the Prophet was leading the Jama'ah and he forgot the ayah, the surah. He forgot. And then Shaitan came, whispered in his ears, and he started telling him things which are not the Quran, something else. So the Sahaba were shocked. What is this? This is something new. Then the Prophet realized at the end of the prayers, oh, that was the Shaitan whispering in his ears. This is a story, my friends, in their books of hadith, that compromises the Prophet's integrity. If the Shaitan is able to reach the Prophet, then why bihale ma? What would we do? Whereas the Quran says Shaitan cannot reach prophets and imams and those pious, not necessarily. Where is in the Quran? Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. Oh Satan, God says to Satan, oh Satan, my ibad, my true servants, you cannot have access to them. Sultan means access or authority or control. You can't have control over them. Inna ibadi, verily, my true servants, you can't hurt them. Even if you try, you can't, because they are protected. So many of the hadith and the stories they fabricate, it's against the Quran. If they read the Quran, they find out the answer. So, سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَى. So the Prophet memorized the Quran, then he passed it to the people around him. Now, we come to something that I mentioned last week, and I didn't finish. Who then gathered the Quran? We have writings and we have gatherings. Writings when you scribe the Quran. The inscription of the Quran took place, or the inscription of the Quran took place during the time of the Prophet by many people. Many. The first and foremost, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And we will come to his hadith. We will come to elaborate on that. But there were many others. Ubay ibn Ka'ab, Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Umar, Fulan. Many others, they are sitting there, and like you guys, when the Prophet says these are verses from the Quran, whoever is available there, sometimes in Mecca, sometimes in Medina, sometimes in between, sometimes at his home, sometimes in the market, sometimes in the... Whenever Jibreel doesn't, whenever he wants, God wants him to send him, he would send him. They did not have from 9 to 5, Sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes weekend, sometimes Friday, sometimes morning, sometimes in the middle of the battlefield, God sent Jibreel. So whoever was there and whatever material they have, they would scribe. So it happened during the time of the Prophet, writing the Quran. This is first stage. We come to the second stage, which is what? Jam'ul Quran. Jam' means gathering. The gathering, Jam'. Jam' is gathering. There is a debate. There is a long debate. Who gathered the Quran? In Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim and many sources of hadith in the school of Sahaba, the main story is this, that during the Battle of Yamama, which took place during the reign of the first caliph, many of the Qurra and the Huffaz, the memorizers, the one who carried the Quran in their chests, they were killed. So Umar comes to Abu Bakr, as I mentioned last week, and says to him, listen, Islam is in danger. We need to gather the Quran because it's left with a few, and those of you die, then the Quran is lost. And then they came to Zayd ibn Thabit, okay, and they said to him, You have the task, you need to be endowed with this task to collect the Quran. Zayd ibn Thabit. And the story is long. Make it very short. They decided, Abu Bakr decided that you two guys, Umar and Zayd, you stand at the entrance of the masjid. Whoever of the Sahaba memorizes anything of the Quran, you interview him and you put it on a piece of paper. And this is how they gathered the Quran. But of course, this hadith and this story is meant to give a credit to Abu Bakr. That's it. It's a political story. It has no merits, no foundations. It's baseless. Why it is baseless, my friends? Do you remember what I said last week? Huh? What did I say? Afsana Khanum. Aha, exactly. Khabar al-wahid. Quran cannot be gathered depending on single story of or isolated. Khabar al-wahid is isolated story. Khabar al-wahid. This is khabar al-wahid. Khabar al-wahid. It cannot. It can't. This is book, important book. My friends, if we want to write our will, wasiyah. By the way, you must all write your will. Huh? It's not scary. Huh? It doesn't mean that you die tomorrow. We have the hadith says if you write your will, God will prolong your life. So don't be reluctant. Write your will. We need, if we leave something behind, something it's not important, it's not huge legacy, not revelation, we need to have 2 witnesses at least. If we take a money, Surah Al-Baqarah says, take $50 from Hamid, you have to write him on a piece of paper that I took. And if there are people witnesses, at least let them sign that paper. In case something happens to me and Hamid comes after my death, he says, see, this is his handwriting, and those are witnesses. How can we accept the Quran with the testimony of one single person? This is dangerous. This is very dangerous business. This is again, they are compromising the integrity of the Quran. They are comparing the Quran, equating the Quran with what? No, not just hadith, with other previous books. Previous books where the Torah was burnt in Jerusalem, a rabbi came and then he started listening to this, and then he gathered the rabbi again, he put it in a book. They are equating the Quran to that. Whereas Allah says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr wa inna lahu lahafidhun. We protect the book. So it has to be through tawatur, not khabar al-wahid. Through tawatur. Tawatur, it means it's common among the people. So when someone listens to this verse, they say, this is a verse. Everybody in the society. Not khabar al-wahid, not an isolated story. Isolated story is not accepted. Then, my friend, the Prophet. Now, let's come to something important tonight. We said the Prophet explained the Quran, the entire Quran, and what is related to legislation, ahkam. He explained them to the people. Now let's take an example, a few examples. How do you understand? How did he teach these verses to his followers? When you read a verse, the verse which is related to ahkam, not akhlaq, not history, not stories of Prophet. Ahkam, legislation, fiqh. How do you understand them? How do you understand this is mandatory, this is wajib, this is not mandatory, recommended? Because sometimes Quran speaks about something which is not wajib. He speaks it like amr. But in fact, when you come, the wording is like commands, amr. but it is not amr, it's mustahab, recommended. Okay, we have many examples of that. So how do we understand the wording of the Quran? How do we understand the wording of the Quran? Al-lafz al-Qur'ani. Okay? We have something called dalala. I'll explain it to you. Al-lafz, the Quranic, al-Qur'ani. Meaning, the connotation, dalala means connotation. Connotation, meaning, you know, what else? The significance, the notion, the indication, these are all, you know, synonymous. The connotation of the Quranic word. Quranic, this is word, lafz, word, and this is Quranic. So how do we is it all clear? The verses all, they have one level of clarity, or they are different? Some of them are very clear. Some of them are vague. Some of them are in the middle. It has 2 meanings. Some of them have 70 meanings. So how do we understand that? This is very important. This section here is important in the process of the derivation of the hukm from the Quran. To get the hukm, to say this is wajib or haram or mustahab, desired, non-desired, to understand the dalala. You know, they spend years and years in usul al-fiqh and mantiq, these 2 subjects. Usul al-fiqh, they study the dalala, connotation. How do you know, how do you say this is wajib? Show me how. My friends, Quran is explained into 2 main sections, and this is in Surah Al-Imran. What does God say in Surah Al-Imran? Al-Imran, which is a 3, what verse is it? 7. 3:7. Huh? Huwa alladhi, who knows the ayah? Who knows what I'm trying to say? Quran, the wording of the Quran, the statements of the Quran are divided into 2 main sections. And these sections are mentioned in 3:7. Surah Al-Imran, ayah number 7. هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب. فيه, it is the Lord who sent the book upon you. فيه, in that book, آيات محكمات. أحسنت. محكمات. محكم, it means what? أحسنت. Clear, simple, determined. Yes, this is محكم. فيه آيات محكمات هن الكتاب. These are the foundations of the Quran. But on the other hand, there are minorities, small number, وأخر means, and others that are what? متشابهات. So متشابه. We have 2, محكم and متشابه. That is the main division, the main dichotomy in the Quran. Muhkam and mutashabih. And my friends, there are books and theses. I would not exaggerate if I say, not thousands, no, I exaggerate if I say thousands. Hundreds of books are written on muhkam and mutashabih in the Quran. Hundreds of books. Which one is muhkam and which one is mutashabih? Can you give me an example of muhkam, another example of mutashabih? Number one, before we go, what do you mean by muhkam and mutashabih? Let's explain it before we go to the examples. Yes?
Is muhkam an ayah that needs no tafsir, that's very clear and concise in its context? And
it doesn't need tafsir at all?
I guess it's not open for debate. It's very clear and
Ahsant.
concise. Yeah.
It's not open for debate, but sometimes it needs tafsir, clarification. Okay? I'll give you an example, very simple example. Someone calls you now, like Hamid, looking at his iPhone, and his wife is asking him, where are you? Where are you? So if he gives an answer which is muhkam, clear, simple, he says, I'm in the seminary. Okay? Seminary, sure. She knows he's. But sometimes I'm in the seminary also needs some explanation. But it is not confusing. Nobody can say, no, it's confusing. I'm in the seminary, it means I'm not in my friend's house. I'm not on the beach. I'm not in a restaurant. I am in the seminary. I'm studying. I'm not in my office. But then it could be followed by another example. What do you study in the seminary? For instance, this is tafsir. But it is muhkam because it is clear. It's not confusing. When you answer, I'm in the seminary, yarhamkumullah, when you answer, I'm in the seminary, it's muhkam. It's not confusing. It's not open for debate. But it is open for further elaboration. Okay? This is muhkam. If he wants to give mutashabih,
I'm out.
hmm?
I'm out.
I'm out having fun, he can say. Having fun here, where is he? Having fun, you can have fun in the restaurant, on the beach, in the mall with your friends, this. Okay? But that is having fun, it's really needs what? Open for debate. Because it has many ihtimal, many choices. In the seminary, one choice. I know he's studying, but I don't know the details. I don't know from what time to what time. I don't know what class. But I know he's in the seminary, muhkam. But having fun, when you say having fun, wow, your mind can go anywhere. Okay? Have you tried that or not? Try it next time. Yeah. So having fun is mutashabih, which is what? Symbolic. And this symbolism requires what?
Collaboration.
Very, you have to really get down to the bottom of it and explain it very well. Otherwise, it would be very confusing, very confusing. He's having fun. Now give me an example of this and example of this. Example of this, Quran is filled. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً Surah Al-Isra. Do not approach, don't go in the path that leads into zina, into fornication. Such as what? Don't go to a place, a bar, a pub, whatever the English call it, where bad people are there. It might lead into that path. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا. Okay? Not don't commit. Don't commit is absolutely haram. Don't even go to a place where you are forced then. You have no choice. You will be forced. Or أقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة. But it requires explanation. Show me how. Yes, you are telling me أقيموا الصلاة is muhkam. Establish the prayers. Perform the prayers. أقيموا الصلاة. Some people say, where is salat in the Quran? Salat is in my heart. Where does God said you have to pray 5 times a day? As long as I am talking to him, I acknowledge him, I don't have to stand. We say, no, this is the verse. أقيموا. أقيموا. Iqama means what? Means you are performing. Not just thinking of God. Performing the prayers. And then, of course, the hadith comes and explains the details of the prayers. وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةِ. Some people say, as long as, I help my mother once in a while, here there is no fixed. No, there is fixed amount. You have to pay it. Fixed amount of zakat. Zakatul mal is called khums, the 20% of the surplus. So, but then it requires some details. So these are muhkam. What else? Plenty of. The entire Quran. Most of it is muhkam. Most of it is muhkam. Now, which one is mutashabih? Give me an example of really the one that people fight over it. Not people, fuqaha, mufassirin, the exegetes of the Quran, the experts on the Quran, they fight over it.
Okay, just a question. So al-mutashabih can be metaphorical too?
Yes.
So if you say like, example, you have right
Symbolic.
hand, symbolic right hand of God.
Exactly.
Right.
Yadullah, Dr. Ali said a very good example. One of them is Yadullah. Yadullahi fawqa aydiyahum. Aydihim. Yadullah. In Iran they call people Yadullah. Huh? Especially in the Dehat. This is Yadullah. Yadullah, the hand, the arm of God. The Mushabbiha, which is a philosophical tradition in Islam called Mushabbiha and Mujassama. Mujassima. Mushabbiha and not Mujassamaha. Mujassama in Farsi is different. Mujassima. Mujassima from what? Taken from what? Jism. God has body. God has physical body. They believe God has just physical body. And then they give you the description. His head is from here to there. His arm is one reaches where his leg is, whatever. Mushabbiha means what? From tashbih. Tashbih is what? Similarity. So God has similarity. Just like Jesus when they put his picture in the church or his statue. This is similar to Jesus. Maybe this picture is not Jesus himself exactly, but similar to him. These two traditions which emerged during Muawiyah's time to keep people busy and speak about things that are not really important, just keep them busy fighting with each other over very trivial things. Those people believe God has an arm. And in fact, Wahhabism today is one of the branches of Islam that believes in tajseem. And one of the imams who believes in the tajseem is Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So those people believe that Yadullah is his arm. They say, what's wrong for God to have an arm? It's okay, but his arm is bigger than us. We say, no, the problem is very fundamental, because once he has an arm, once he has a physical eyes, physical mouth, physical leg, then he's going to be in need, because he has to sustain his arm. He has to sustain his body. Then he has to drink water. Otherwise he gets dehydrated. He cannot function. He gets hungry, because when you have a physical structure, you need to feed that physical structure. Then you become in need. Then that sort of God who is in need, is he God anymore? He's not God. Because God says, Ya ayyuhan nas, antumul fuqara. You are the one who are in need. Wallahu huwa al-ghaniyul hamid. Ghaniyul hamid, God is self-sufficient. He's not in need. So this is mutashabih. What do we do? God says in Surah Al-Imran, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٍ. As to those who are hypocrites, munafiqeen, they want to destroy Islam. فَيَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهَ مِنْهِ. They focus in their studies of the Quran on only the mutashabih. They don't mention the muhkam. فَيَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهَ مِنْهِ. They focus on the mutashabih. Why they focus on the mutashabih? ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله. Their goal is fitna, commotion, confusion in the society. And this is exactly what happened during the time of Muawiyah. Some scholars, Muawiyah hires a scholar, establish this philosophical tradition, and tell people in the mosque that God has an arm. But his arm, the difference, your arm is small, his arm is bigger. Yes, Saeed.
Question for Mutashabih, would Amr minkum, would that fall under that?
This is one of them, yes. This is one of them, but it could be also, I will tell you about it. I will elaborate on that. But let's finish with this one. So then what is the meaning? Those hypocrites, ابتغاء الفتنة, their goal is fitna. وابتغاء تأويله. Ta'wil here means diverting it Ta'wil means diverting it from its true meaning. Divert. ابتغاء تأويله وما يعلم تأويله إلا الله والراسخون في العلم. So the munafiqeen, they focus on mutashabih for two reasons. Number one, fitna. ابتغاء الفتنة. Commotion, confusion in the society. To destabilize the society. Okay? To destabilize it mentally. So they get confused about God and they start fighting. And to divert it, to divert the true meaning from its course. But God says, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلُهُ. The real interpretation is known only by God and those who are well versed in knowledge. وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. Who are الرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ, my friend? الرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. Who are they? أهل البيت عليهم السلام. Imam al-Sadiq says, نحن الراسخون في العلم. We are the one who are well versed. Rasikh, solid. Rasikh in Arabic means solid. It's not shaking. We are the ones.
Say a quick question. Mushabih?
Mutashabih.
No, the mushabih and the mujassama.
Mushabbiha and mujassima.
Are they
Mujassima.
different theories or is it the same?
No, the same philosophical tradition. So sometimes they called mujassama or mujassima because they believe in God's jism, body, physical structure, and sometimes mushabbiha because وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. God has, I have no shabih. There is no similar thing. You cannot compare me to anything. Why? Because I'm not similar to anything. But they compare him to us, to human beings. So they are called mushabbiha and mujassima. Now, what is the second verse? I'll come to your verse, remind me. وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ. This is again one of the big debates that took place during the Islamic history. وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ. وُجُوهٌ لا. وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها لا ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. This is another example of symbolic or metaphoric also. Metaphoric. Okay? Write it down. Metaphoric. So where is it? Show me. Can someone lead us here? Lead the discussion. Where is it? Which one of it is mutashabih? Can someone explain? What is it? Can you explain, Nadeem? Explain it to us.
Meaning it's about seeing God.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really we see it with our physical eyes or
Exactly. This one. See, this one nadhira without alif, this is alif. This is waiting. This is seeing. So people, wujuhun, of the people on the day of judgment, yawma'idin on the day of judgment, nadhiratun, waiting, ila rabbiha, to see the face of their Lord. Ila rabbiha nadhira. They sit there waiting for him to debut, to come on the stage, so they start cheering. This is what they believe. And of course they support this verse with what? With hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, Abu Huraira. He says we were sitting. Do you know who knows the hadith? Can you remind us of the hadith? Hadith that we were sitting around the Prophet. It was full moon. The Prophet said, do you see the full moon? How clear, how beautiful? We said, yes. He said, إِنَّكُمْ سَتَرَوْنَ اللَّهَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ كَمَا تَرَوْنَ هَذَا الْقَمَرِ. You're going to see the face of God on the day of judgment as you can see this full moon, very bright and very clear. Another problem here. But we say this is mutashabih. Wait. Quran says this is mutashabih. It needs explanation. Don't take it at face value. Don't take it. This is a metaphor. إلى رحمة ربها ناظرة. Tafsir of Ahlul Bayt. Yes, they are waiting. Mu'mineen are waiting on the Day of Judgment, but not to see God, to receive His mercy. Imam al-Sadiq says, إلى رحمة ربها. To the mercy of God they are expecting and anticipating and waiting. To His mercy, not to Him to show up. They can't see God. This is mutashabih. So that is the main division. Now, let's go, my friends. Let's go. Let me clear this a little bit here. Ulil Amr. I told you to remind me.
Still writing notes.
Ulil Amr, Sa'id. Ulil Amr, Habibi. أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. It is muhkam. It needs explanation. But sometimes the scholars, they differ over the explanation here, under the muhkam too, not just the mutashabih. Even when it comes to the muhkam, and I'll show you that. I'll show you. Right now I will show you example of verses that are muhkam, but they fight over interpreting it. So it is muhkam, it is not mutashabih. Ulil Amr, the Prophet came and he explained. Ulil Amr, the Prophet said, me and the Imams after me. Not the mayor of Irvine, not the president of the United States or Iraq or Lebanon or Egypt or Morocco. No, those are not Ulil Amr. Ulil Amr are those who are appointed by God. By God. Now, does that mean if my president is a good guy and I elected him, let's say, in one country, I should not listen to him? No, you should listen to him, no problem. But when God speaks in the Quran that you must listen to those, God, His apostle, and Ulil Amr, then you should not dispute with them. مَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ. Don't go and fight with the Prophet and tell him why this. Maybe tell him what is the reason, Ya Rasulullah. But listen to him. So that's the difference. So it is muhkam. But even the muhkam requires explanation. Now, my friends, if the muhkam is very clear, what do we call it? The verse is very simple, right to the point, determined, clear. It has a name. What is that name? You are close. You are close. But tell me the professional name in the Sharia. They have a professional terminology. It's called an-nas. An-nas. An-nas, sometimes it means text, but here does not mean text, huh? It means what? Very clear. Such as what? Give me an example. Verse is very clear. We read it every day in the prayers and the salat. Every day you repeat this sentence. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Ahad means single. Has no similarity, has no match. God, ahadiyya. Ahadiyya means He has no match. Because at the end, explains what ahad means. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. He doesn't have rivals. He doesn't have similars to Him. So this is nas. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Ahad. This is nas. This is very clear. Now, if it is not a clear nas, we are still under the muhkam. Huh? Don't look at mutashabih. We are still here. So muhkam, either nas or what else? If it is not very muhkam, one level below nas, one level below nas, not 100% clear, 70% gives this meaning, 70%. What do we call it in this terminology here? less than nas. Less than nas. Nas is 100%. Okay, this is 100%. But this one here, 70%. 65, 60, 75. What do you call it? No, no, no. No, قطع. It's like the nas. Quranic terminology. Amara is the usul, fiqh, but this is in the Quran. Al-Zahir. Have you heard the Iranians saying al-Zahir? Yes. The Arabs also say al-Zahir. When they answer me, Sayyid, are you going to be here for whatever? I say al-Zahir. Al-Zahir migandi. They say al-Zahir. This means 70%. Not 100%, but 70%. Okay? This is. Now, which one is this Sa'id? This one, when the verse has, it could have two meanings, not one meaning. Give me an example of that. This is where the Shia and the Sunnis are fighting. In ahkam. Give me ahkam. We are speaking about ahkam. Fiqh. غنيمة. أحسنت. واعلموا أنما غنمتم من شيء. غنيمة. Some say ghanima is only it's the war booty when you are in the battlefield and when you pick up something and run away. This is ghanima. Ahlul Bayt say no. Ghanima, any earning, any profit, any gain is called ghanima. It's not only in the war. Therefore, you can say this man, a CEO of this corporation, he ghanama such and such money. He gained. This is one. Another one, when we do wudu. In the Shia tradition, Quran says, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلِكُمْ. وَامْسَحُوا, wipe. In the other tradition, do they wipe or they wash? Wash. Now this one, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. Why do we wipe? Why do they wash? Tell me. Because they also use the Quran. Not only us. They use the Quran. So why do we wipe? Why do they wash? Let me write it down. وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلِكُمْ. وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلِكُمْ.
Yeah, the ba indicates partial on the head, and then it also includes the word following it.
Partial. The ba, exactly. Partial, not your entire head. Partial. But then there is another thing. Why, when it comes to the...
It follows the ba, وَامْسَحُوا, and the ba would mean the following word as well.
No, we are speaking about imsahu. Right. There are two problems. One problem is to wipe or to wash. The second one, to wipe or wash everything or just part of it. So you are giving me the answer to number one, not to number two, not number one. But here means part of it. Part of your head, part of your feet. But I'm asking, why do we wipe? Why not washing?
Isn't it also say the same, because the letter indicates, maybe I'm wrong, but B also means the word following it follows the same action?
No, this one.
Or is that the waw?
This one, wamsahu. God, because God is saying imsah. So why then the Sunni they wash? Because the Sunnis they say this wow, which is a follow-up, it goes to where اغسلوا إذا قمتم, when you stand for the prayers, اغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق. So they say this wow connect you to here. We say no. We say it connects you to here. وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. Don't go too far. God says, wash, اغسلوا, your face and your arms. When it comes to your head and your legs, your feet, امسحوا. Are you with me or not? If you are not with me, I repeat it 500 times for you. We have a verse in the Quran. The verse says, إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. Once you are about to perform the prayers, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. Wash, غسل, wash. وُجُوهَكُمْ, your face and your arms. إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, up to the elbows here. Not here, not there, not there, up to here, not there. Some people wash up to here. This is wrong. You have to make sure this is your elbow. This is your elbow. So you pour the water here, here, here. So you cover it. This is the elbow. You cover it. Okay? Some people do this. No, this is not wrong. This is wrong, not right. It has to be, this is the elbow. So a little bit above it, so you cover it. إلى المرافق. Okay? Then, وَامْسَحُوا. Wow is عطف, to follow up. Quran says, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. They say this one, وَأَرْجُلِكُمْ, goes back to اغسلوا. We say أرجلكم goes back to امسحوا. Because in the Arabic literature, wow is عطف, follow up. And it goes to the nearest one. When I say, this is example, I say, Afsana Khanum, sign this paper and give it to the person next to you. Who's the person next to her? Ali or Saeed? They are not next to her. This person is next to her. She has to sign it and pass it to this. Yes, it is eventually going to go to, Saeed and Ali and all of you. But she has to give it to the one who's next to her. She cannot give it to Saeed while this man is sitting here. People are telling her, why you are bypassing this man? Give it to the one who's next to you. So they argue that arjulakum, it goes to اغسلوا. عطف, follow up on اغسلوا. We tell them, no, because after اغسلوا we had a sentence, we had امسحوا. So it has to come to the one which is next to it. Next to it. We have a joke in Iraq. They say, someone who's simple, very simple-minded, naive, gullible. They asked him, where is your ear? He said, this is my ears. This is. You have one here. Why do you? So this is like that one. You have here, imsahu. Why do you go to اغسلوا? Imsahu is closer to you. This is the argument. But then, of course, both parties supported with hadith. Some say the Prophet used to wash. Imam Ali said, no. The Prophet used to wipe, and I was with him day and night. Therefore, when his Khilafah arrived, in fact, this happened during the time of Uthman, by the way. When did they differ over washing or wiping? During the reign of the third caliph. If you want to know the story, get a copy of my book here downstairs, When Power and Piety Collide. One of the things that the third caliph, Uthman, changed is washing. Because he said, wow, what people are barefoot and look at their feet, filthy. They should come and wash it. Wiping it is not going to do good. They should wash it. Theoretically, it's really good idea. At that time, people didn't have, shoes, proper shoes, and they were walking in the dust. So yes, if you come to the mosque, wash your feet. But we tell them, listen, we stick to the Quran. This is why in India, in Africa, when you go to a Shia mosque, you do the wudu, you wipe, then there is hose. You put you wash, and then you come inside the masjid. Or some people do the following. I was in Kuwait for 10 years when I was a child. So my father used to be an imam of a mosque, Shia mosque. People will come from outside, they will wash their feet first. They sit and wash. They dry them with a towel, then they do the wudu. They wipe. So there is a solution for that. There is a solution. But we have to stick to the Quran. Why? Because sometimes it's a disaster. Imagine you want to do wudu in the airplane. One year, the pilot started screaming. I told you the story. 1994, I was flying with the British Airways from London to Jeddah, going to Hajj. And we had maybe 300, 400, mostly from Indian subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. And they did wudu inside. I saw the water running outside the eyes, believe me. The pilot, I heard him saying this, I don't forget. He said, it is okay to do your ghusl, your washing in Mecca when we arrive. Don't do it here. These are wirings in the airplane, and the water was running, So maybe God, He wants to make it easy. Symbolic. It's the entire wudu is symbolic, by the way. The entire wudu. This is why you can do wudu with half of this. With half of this amount, you can do wudu. It's symbolic. It's not about really cleansing yourself. And if you want to really cleanse, take a shower. Wudu is symbolic, and God knows sometimes we are in the desert, in the mountain, it is winter, snowing, freezing, in the car, in the airplane. You can't every time wash your, It's a big problem. Every time you wash your feet, imagine.
So say it again. I guess the question I would have is for tayammum. How would they do tayammum? If you don't have water, you're going to do tayammum.
Yeah.
How do they do their feet covered?
In the tayammum, the ruling, whatever you wash, you wipe. Whatever you wash in wudu, you wipe in tayammum. Whatever you wipe in wudu, you are exempted. You don't do anything. So you don't do anything for your head. You don't do anything for your feet. Because tayammum is discounted 50%. Symbolic. Again, tayammum is symbolic. Tayammum, you can do tayammum any corner. A little bit of dust. Do tayammum. One time. Your forehead, that's it. One time here, one time there. Symbolic. Does that cleanse you, clean you? No, doesn't clean. The dust. So God says symbolic, to prepare yourself for the salat. The idea of tayammum and wudu is not necessarily cleansing your skin, no. It is a spiritual preparation. Otherwise, if you really want to wash yourself, you have to go and get a shower. Wudu is not going to, cleanse you. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين